Today, I'm going to show you some things that you absolutely need to know if you're moving to Salt Lake City or anywhere along the Wasatch Front here in Utah. On top of that, I'm going to dive in and show you and talk about my clients' favorite neighborhoods that they're moving to in all of the metropolitan areas up and down the Wasatch Front. And these, of course, are the areas that people are most frequently moving to, and there's reasons behind that. And then we're going to dive into some areas that maybe look really appealing to you, but you might want to think twice depending on what you're looking for and what your lifestyle is. And so in this video, I'm going to go over all of those things and so much more. Let's go. Okay, to kick things off, the first thing I want to do is explain all of the metropolitan areas here in Utah, starting with the three largest metropolitan areas right here along the Wasatch Front, and as the centerpiece of the major population area right here along the Wasatch Front, which consists of just over 2.55 million people, is the Salt Lake City metropolitan area. The Salt Lake City metropolitan area is very well and clearly defined as Salt Lake County and is completely surrounded by mountains to the west, the east, the south, as well as the Great Salt Lake to the north, so it's really easy to see exactly where the Salt Lake City metropolitan area is, and it has just over 1.25 million people. Then moving up north into Davis and Weber counties, we have the Ogden metropolitan area. This metropolitan area has just under 1 million people and has some really rapidly growing areas as well, and it tends to be the least expensive of the three metropolitan areas along the Wasatch Front, so that might be appealing to you. And then last but not least on the Wasatch Front, moving to the south, we have Utah's fastest growing area and county in Utah County, and that is the Provo metropolitan area. And just like the Ogden metro area, this area right now has just under 1 million people, but because it is the fastest growing area in the state of Utah, and in the future it's very likely that Utah County and the Provo metropolitan area could surpass that population found here in Salt Lake County. Now, I don't want to forget the other two metropolitan areas as well. There's one up north in Logan. Logan is a really small city surrounded by a bunch of mountain towns. This is another metropolitan area. Not many people live there, but it could continue growing over the years, and of course it will, just like anywhere else in the state. And last but not least, I want to go to the southwestern corner of the state of Utah in Washington County, where we'll find the St. George metropolitan area, and this is a rapidly growing area in the state and attracts a lot of people that are looking for an entirely different type of lifestyle. And by the way, if we haven't met yet, my name is Scott Steele, and I absolutely love helping people discover all things Utah, including Utah real estate. And I love helping people especially make that move here to Utah, or if you already live here, I would love to be your real estate resource of choice. So hit me up. You can find my contact information in the description below or in the pinned comment on this and every video. So with that said, let's move forward. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about is the most upcoming and popular areas in each of these three major metropolitan areas along the Wasatch Front. Let's get started right here in Salt Lake County in the Salt Lake City metropolitan area. I want to talk about first one area right in Salt Lake City, and then another one that's outside of Salt Lake City itself in the southwest corner of the Salt Lake Valley. So first and foremost, let's cover Sugar House. Sugar House sits just southeast of downtown Salt Lake City. Within just a matter of a few minutes, you can be pretty much anywhere in the city. It's an incredibly popular area, and it has been for years. Most people that have owned homes in Sugar House understand how desirable that neighborhood is, and it's surrounded with adjacent neighborhoods that are also just as popular and up and coming, such as Liberty Wells to the west, and you also have some of the most expensive neighborhoods bordering this area of Sugar House just to the north in the Harvard-Yale area, the 9th and 9th neighborhoods. These areas are super trendy. Everybody's looking to purchase property in there. And even though the homes in these neighborhoods are quite old, most of these homes are built in the 1950s or earlier, they're being renovated at a very high rate. These are some of the most desirable areas to pick up property and renovate that property and then sell it. So a lot of redevelopment has been happening, restoration of existing homes. It's a really cool place to be, and with freeways and transportation so easily and readily available, it's going to continue to be one of the most popular areas in Salt Lake City. And moving just out to the suburbs, I want to go to the hottest place in Salt Lake County, and that is in South Jordan, particularly the area where I live, and that's Daybreak. If you're interested in a completely different lifestyle here in Salt Lake County, Daybreak might be the place for you. You can find so much information about Daybreak, including right here on my YouTube channel, where I've created a few videos outlining what it's like to live in Daybreak, or maybe the pros and cons. But Daybreak is a master planned community and is the largest of its kind in the state of Utah, and tends to be one of the hotbeds for people that are looking to move to Utah. They love finding themselves a home right here in Daybreak. And people often ask me why I like Daybreak. I love the concept and the ethos of the development in that they wanted to create a development where people were more connected in a sense of community, whereby people were more drawn to each other as neighbors, as friends. Every home has a front porch. Garages are no longer the focal point of a home. Instead, we have garages in the back through alleyways. And so with that said, I think you get to know your neighbors a lot more in a place like Daybreak as opposed to most neighborhoods in the suburbs throughout Salt Lake County. And there's so many other things to love, including the amenities, the many parks and the swimming pools, the lake and the water course, and all of the activities that are taking place in Daybreak. Another really big attraction to Daybreak is the upcoming development, which is currently under construction, and that is downtown Daybreak, where they're building a new ballpark for the AAA baseball team. They're adding a performing arts center. They're adding a theater and bowling alley and all these restaurants, office space, and so much more. And it's even talked about that the Oakland Athletics, a Major League Baseball team, could actually be playing in my neighborhood in this new ballpark for just a couple of years while they wait for their new home in Las Vegas. All right, I'm going to save the hottest county in Utah County for last. So let's go up next, up north into Ogden, and talk about the most upcoming and trendy and hot area in the Ogden metro, and that is, of course, the city of Syracuse. Now, Syracuse sits just to the southwest of downtown Ogden, but it's becoming a really hot spot for new construction. Everything in Syracuse is new. The people that are purchasing homes there tend to be families that are growing, and the freeways and the transportation infrastructure is really settling in and coming into play as they just opened a new freeway as well. The shopping, the restaurants, the dining, all of these things are really taking off in and around Syracuse. And if you're looking for that less expensive home, as opposed to being down in Salt Lake County, Syracuse and the Ogden Metro could be a very appealing place, as it is the least expensive of all the metro areas along the Wasatch Front. All right, so let's move down south into Utah County and go to the Provo metropolitan area. And I've covered extensively all of the cities that are so rapidly growing in the northern section of Utah County, and that includes Saratoga Springs, Eagle Mountain, Lehigh, and American Fork. And of course, those are flanked by really expensive areas like Highland and Alpine. The northern part of the county is exploding in popularity and growth, but today I want to cover an upcoming area that's actually been under construction for quite a few years now, and that's just slightly to the south of the northern section, kind of right in the heart of the Provo metro area, and that is Vineyard. Vineyard has a massive chunk of land that has been announced as a new development called Utah City. And as shown on screen here, you'll see some really cool features. This will be a cool walkable city and self-sustaining. It'll have markets, it will have restaurants and office space, as well as so many other things going on. This is an up-and-coming area, so if you're looking for an upcoming area that's really trendy, really hot, and it's probably going to have some really cool amenities as well, Utah City, the development within Vineyard, could be really appealing to you. And right there in the heart of Utah County. And of course, it's right next to the largest university in Utah Valley University in terms of student population. But it's also still really close to, you've got Utah Lake to the west where you can go recreate, you can go up into the canyons. It's just a quick 20 minutes away from Sundance, for example. You can also get to Park City and the ski resorts up here near Salt Lake City within less than an hour. And so you're still really close to pretty much anything you'd want to experience, and only about 35 to 40 minutes away from the airport in Salt Lake City. And moving forward, I'll be sharing a lot about this development and this community as it continues to grow and new developments are happening. Okay, so one more thing I wanted to touch on, and this doesn't matter if it's the Salt Lake Metro, the Provo Metro, or the Ogden Metro areas. One of the most important things to understand when you're moving here is that the real estate tends to be more expensive as you get closer to the mountains on the east bench of each of these valleys and these metropolitan areas. In other words, if you live close to the mountains, you're likely going to spend more money for your property, kind of like you would a beach if you were to live in Southern California. It's just the most desirable real estate along the Wasatch Front. All right, moving on. I don't want to stop here. I want to continue talking about the other side of the Wasatch Range, and we call that the Wasatch Back. The heart of the Wasatch Back is, of course, the most expensive area in the state of Utah, and that is Park City. In and around Park City is pretty expensive no matter where you are. There are so many other mountain towns that are really close, including Heber and Midway, as well as Camas, Oakley, Wanship up to the north, and even further to the north, you've got Hennifer and Eden. and some other areas with really great access to both recreation as well as world-class ski resorts. So the Wasatch Back is becoming an incredibly popular area, especially for second homes and people that want a different type of lifestyle. I personally view the lifestyle of someone who lives in the Wasatch Back is just having the best of everything right there at their fingertips. They're only 30 to 45 minutes away from the city, while they still get to enjoy being up in the mountains and experiencing a lifestyle that you just can't have if you're down here in the city. Okay, I don't want to forget talking about places that you might want to avoid. So for example, a lot of people that are reaching out to me here on my YouTube channel are talking to me specifically about trying to escape the bad air quality in the wintertime. I've covered this extensively through numerous YouTube videos, but we call it the inversion. When that inversion kicks in the wintertime and we don't have storms coming through the valley, or when we don't have storms blowing through the Wasatch Front, to get rid of that pollution and that inversion that takes place, it can get pretty nasty sometimes. This year, for example, in December, we had a couple of weeks where that inversion really settled in, and I thought, oh boy, here we go. But then since January 1st through February and now March, we've had literally nothing. It's been wonderful, and that's because we've had storms come through pretty much every single week that tend to blow that out, and we've had really good air quality this year. So that's really cool. And on an average, we typically see anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks in total of winter air that's just poor quality. So you want to make sure if that's something that's important to you, you could consider living in a place where you could get up and out of the inversion. And those are going to be the higher altitude areas. You can be in the mountains along the Wasatch Back, but there are so many other areas as well. And so that's one thing to consider. Another thing that you consider is how important is it for you to be close to an international airport. If you travel often for business or pleasure, you probably want to make sure that you're within 30, maybe 35 minutes, possibly 40 minutes of that airport. And most areas from the center of Ogden down to the center of Provo, if you don't go north of downtown Ogden and south of downtown Provo, you're likely going to be within that framework of being 30, 35, maybe 40 minutes from the airport. And that becomes really manageable if that's important to you. Okay, another thing to take into account if you're looking to avoid certain types of lifestyles, you're going to want to get on a call with me so that I can really get to know your specific scenario and situation and help answer any questions you might have that could really help you find and eliminate the areas that you know that you don't want to be in versus the areas that you might want to consider. And if you want to know all of the stats, the schools, the lifestyle, and all the things, the attractions, and you want to know more about living and moving to Utah, hit me up in the description below. You can find my contact information. You can also click that link in the description or in this comment that's pinned right here on this video, and you can book a call with me. We can go over your specific scenario and answer your questions. And as always, I really, truly love that you're watching this content. And if I've earned it, I would love it if you would hit that like button and subscribe for more content just like this. And if you're looking to learn more about living in Utah, check out this video next. And until next time, thanks.